The alarm bells rang loud through the medical ship Starfall. Dr. Lisa Morgan dropped her coffee and ran to the bridge. Red lights flashed everywhere. The ship shook as it moved fast through space. "What's happening?" Lisa asked as she reached the command center. Captain Zarathus stood tall at her station. She was from the Veltari race. Blue skin, white hair, and eyes that glowed like silver coins. Her people were smart and had the best technology in the galaxy. Humans like Lisa worked for them, but were never given important jobs. "We got a distress call," Zarathus said. Her voice was calm but worried. "A research station on Kepler 442b is in trouble. A big storm hit them. We need to go help." Commander Jake Sullivan walked up to them. He was Lisa's best friend and the only other human on the ship's main crew. Jake was strong and brave, with kind brown eyes that always made Lisa feel safe. "How bad is it?" Jake asked. "Very bad," said Dr. Kethavar, the chief medical officer. He was also Veltari and thought humans were not very smart. "The storm destroyed most of their base. People are hurt and trapped." Captain Zarathus looked at her crew. "We'll take a shuttle down to the planet. Jake, bring your security team. Dr. Kethavar, get medical supplies ready. Lisa, you come too." "Me?" Lisa was surprised. Usually she just helped with small medical tasks. "We need all the help we can get," Zarathus said. 20 minutes later, they were in a small shuttle flying down to the planet. The storm was still going strong. Rain hit the shuttle like rocks. Lightning filled the dark sky. The shuttle shook and jumped in the wild wind. "This is crazy," Jake said, holding tight to his seat. "We should wait for the storm to pass." "Those people don't have time to wait," Zarathus replied. She was flying the shuttle herself. Her hands moved fast over the controls. Lisa watched the captain work. Zarathus was known for being fearless. She never backed down from danger. Lisa respected that about her, even though the captain barely noticed humans most of the time. Suddenly, a huge bolt of lightning hit the shuttle. All the lights went out. The engines made terrible sounds and then stopped working. "We're going down," Zarathus shouted. The shuttle spun through the air. Lisa felt sick. Jake grabbed her hand. Through the window she could see the ground coming. Up fast. The shuttle crashed hard into the mud. Metal twisted and broke. Lisa's head hit something and everything went black for a moment. When she woke up, Jake was shaking her shoulder. "Lisa, are you okay?" She sat up slowly. Her head hurt, but nothing was broken. "I'm fine. Where's the captain?" They looked around the broken shuttle. Captain Zarathus was trapped under a heavy piece of metal. She was not moving. Blue blood covered her face and uniform. "Help me lift this," Jake said. Together they moved the metal piece. Jake was strong for a human, but it was still hard work. Zarathus opened her eyes when they freed her. But Lisa could see she was hurt very badly. The captain's breathing was quick and shallow. More blue blood came from cuts on her side. "Dr. Kethavar," Lisa called. The Veltari doctor was sitting against the wall. He had a broken arm but was awake. "I can't help much with this arm," he said, looking at his injury. "Check on the captain." Lisa knelt next to Zarathus. She had studied medicine for years, but humans were not allowed to treat alien patients. Still, she knew how to check for injuries. "Internal bleeding," Lisa said after looking at the captain's wounds. "She's losing too much blood. We need to get her to the medical bay fast." They carried Zarathus to the research station. The building was partly destroyed by the storm. The medical equipment was all broken. Only basic human medical supplies were left. Dr. Kethavar looked around at the broken equipment. "There's nothing I can do here. Our medical technology is all destroyed." Captain Zarathus was getting worse. Her skin was turning pale blue instead of the healthy dark blue color. Her breathing became more difficult. "She's going to die," Dr. Kethavar said sadly. "Without our advanced medical machines, I cannot save her." Lisa looked at the dying captain. Then she looked at the simple human medical supplies. An idea came to her. It was crazy and dangerous, but it might work. "I can try something," Lisa said. "What?" Dr. Kethavar asked. You're just a human. What could you possibly do that I cannot? A blood transfusion, Lisa answered. Everyone stared at her. Dr. Kethvar laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. Impossible, he said. Human blood is not compatible with Veltari biology. It would kill her faster. Maybe, Lisa said. But she's dying anyway. At least this gives her a chance. Jake stepped forward. If Lisa thinks it might work, we should try it. This is madness, Dr. Kethvar said. I will not allow it. But Captain Zarathis opened her eyes. She looked at Lisa with her glowing silver eyes. Do it, she whispered. Lisa worked fast. She set up the transfusion equipment with shaking hands. She had never done anything like this before. Jake rolled up his sleeve to give blood. Use mine, he said. I have the universal donor type. No, Lisa said. Her body is already trying to fight the injuries. The blood needs to be from someone calm and healthy. Use mine. Dr. Kethvar watched as Lisa put the needle in her own arm. Red human blood began to flow through the tube toward the dying Veltari captain. This will not work, he said. You're going to kill her. But something amazing happened. As soon as Lisa's blood entered Zarathis's body, the captain's breathing became easier. Her pale skin began to return to its normal dark blue color. The bleeding from her cut slowed down and then stopped. Her eyes became brighter. After an hour, she was sitting up and talking. Dr. Kethvar could not believe what he was seeing. This is impossible, he kept saying. Human blood cannot do this. But it was working. Captain Zarathis was getting better, faster than anyone had ever seen a Veltari heal before. How do you feel? Lisa asked the captain. Strange, Zarathis replied, but good. Very good. Better than I have ever felt before. Lisa smiled, but she was also worried. She did not understand why the transfusion had worked so well. Human blood was supposed to be simple compared to alien biology. Jake put his hand on Lisa's shoulder. You did it, he said proudly. You saved her life. But Lisa had a strange feeling that this was just the beginning. Something about the way the captain looked at her now was different. There was a new light in those silver eyes, and Lisa was not sure what it meant. As they waited for rescue ships to arrive, Lisa wondered what would happen next. She had broken all the medical rules and somehow saved an alien's life with human blood. But deep inside, she felt like she had started something much bigger than just a simple medical procedure. She was right to worry. This was only the beginning of something that would change everything they knew about humans and their place in the galaxy. 3 weeks later, the Starfall was traveling back to Federation space. Life on the ship seemed normal, but Lisa Morgan knew something was very wrong. Captain Zarathis had healed completely from her injuries. In fact, she had healed too well. No Veltari had ever recovered so fast from such serious wounds. But that was not the strangest part. Lisa was in the medical bay checking supplies when Jake Sullivan found her. Have you noticed anything weird about the captain? He asked quietly. Lisa put down her clipboard. What do you mean? She's different, Jake said. Yesterday I saw her lift a heavy cargo box by herself. That box usually takes 3 people to move, and she did it like it weighed nothing. Lisa had noticed changes too. During medical checkups, Zarathis's heart rate was much slower than normal for a Veltari. Her reflexes were faster. Her body temperature was higher, but she seemed perfectly healthy. Dr. Kethvar says everything is normal, Lisa said. Jake shook his head. Dr. Kethvar doesn't want to admit that a human saved her life. He's been acting strange too. That was true. Ever since the rescue, Dr. Kethvar had been doing extra tests on the captain. He never shared the results with Lisa, even though she was the one who had performed the transfusion. There's something else, Jake continued. The captain has been asking about human culture. Yesterday she wanted to know about our music. Today she asked me about human families and how we raise children. This surprised Lisa. Veltari usually thought human culture was primitive and boring. Later that day, Lisa was called to the captain's quarters. She had never been there before. The room was elegant and cold, like most Veltari spaces. Captain Zarathis was standing by the large window looking out at the stars. When she turned around, Lisa was shocked by what she saw. The captain's eyes were brighter than ever. They seemed to glow with their own light. Her skin had a healthy shine that made her look younger. "Lisa," the captain said, "thank you for coming. Please sit down." Lisa sat in the chair across from the captain's desk. She felt nervous. "I wanted to thank you again for saving my life," Zarathis said. "What you did was very brave." "I just did what any doctor would do," Lisa replied. "No," the captain said, firmly. "What you did was impossible. Dr. Kethavar has told me many times that human blood should not work with Veltari biology. Yet here I am, alive and better than ever." The captain sat down and looked directly at Lisa. "I need to tell you something. Since the transfusion, I have been having strange experiences." "What kind of experiences?" "Dreams," Zarathis said. "But they feel more real than dreams. I see places I have never been. I hear voices speaking in languages I don't know. Sometimes I wake up with knowledge I didn't have before." Lisa felt worried. "Have you told Dr. Kethvar about this?" "I tried, but he says it's normal after a trauma. He won't listen." The captain leaned forward. "But I know it's not normal. I can feel something changing inside me." Before Lisa could respond, the door chimed. Dr. Kethvar entered without waiting for permission. "Captain, it's time for your daily medical scan," he said. Then he noticed Lisa. "What is she doing here?" "I asked her to come," Zarathis said calmly. "I was thanking her for her help." Dr. Kethvar's face showed annoyance. "The human has done enough. Please come to the medical bay." After they left, Lisa felt more worried than before. She decided to do some research of her own. That night, Lisa used her computer to look up information about blood transfusions between different species. Most of the medical databases said it was impossible and dangerous. But she found some old research papers that mentioned strange results when human blood was mixed with certain alien biologies in laboratory tests. The next morning, alarms rang through the ship again. But this time, it was not an emergency call. It was a priority message from Federation Medical Command. Lisa and Jake were called to a meeting in the main conference room. Captain Zarathis was already there, along with Dr. Kethvar and the senior officers. On the big screen was Dr. Kevin Hayes, a human scientist from Earth. Lisa knew his name. He was famous for studying alien biology. "I have reviewed the medical reports from your mission," Dr. Hayes said through the communication link. "What happened to Captain Zarathis is unprecedented. I need to examine her immediately." Dr. Kethvar stepped forward. "That will not be necessary. The captain is healthy and recovered." "With respect, Doctor," Dr. Hayes replied, "the blood chemistry analysis you sent shows readings that should be impossible. The captain's blood now contains elements that exist in neither human nor Veltari biology." Everyone in the room looked at Captain Zarathis. She seemed calm, but Lisa noticed her hands were shaking slightly. "What kind of elements?" Jake asked. Dr. Hayes looked at his data. "Microscopic structures that appear to be artificial. They look almost like tiny machines, but they're too small to see clearly with our current equipment." "Machines," Lisa felt, a chill run down her spine. "The more concerning issue," Dr. Hayes continued, "is the energy readings. Captain Zarathis is producing energy signatures that we cannot explain. Her body is generating power at levels that should kill any biological creature." Dr. Kethvar looked angry. "This is impossible. My scans show nothing unusual." "Your equipment may not be sensitive enough," Dr. Hayes said. "Or perhaps these changes are happening too slowly for daily scans to detect." Captain Zarathis finally spoke. "What does this mean for me?" Dr. Hayes was quiet for a moment. "We don't know yet, but we need to run more detailed tests. I'm arranging for you to be transferred to Medical Station Omega-7. We have advanced equipment there." After the communication ended, the room was silent. Finally, Captain Zarathis stood up. "I want Lisa Morgan to be part of the medical team," she said. Dr. Kethvar protested. "Captain, she is not qualified for this level of medical research." "She is the only one who understands what happened," Zarathis replied. "She performed the procedure. She should be involved in studying the results." Lisa felt honored but also scared. She was getting involved in something much bigger than she had expected. Over the next few days, as they traveled to the medical station, Lisa spent more time with Captain Zarathis. The changes in the captain were becoming more obvious. Zarathis could now work for days without getting tired. She could solve complex mathematical problems in her head that normally required computers. Most strangely, electronic equipment seemed to respond to her thoughts. One day, Lisa saw the captain standing in front of a broken communication panel. The captain just touched it with her hand, and it started working perfectly. "How did you do that?" Lisa asked. Zarathis looked at her hand in surprise. "I don't know. I just knew what was wrong with it, and I knew how to fix it." That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Dr. Hayes's words about tiny machines in the captain's blood. Where had they come from? Had they been in Lisa's blood all along, or had they formed during the transfusion? She went to the medical bay to review the captain's daily scans. As she looked at the data, she noticed something that Dr. Kethvar had missed or ignored. The captain's hormone levels were changing in a pattern that looked familiar. Lisa checked the readings 3 times to be sure. When she realized what she was seeing, Lisa dropped the datapad. It clattered loudly on the floor. The hormone changes looked exactly like the early stages of pregnancy. But that was impossible. Veltari could only reproduce with other Veltari, and only under very specific conditions. Lisa ran more detailed scans using the advanced equipment that Dr. Hayes had sent instructions for. The results made her sit down heavily in her chair. Deep, inside Captain Zarathis's body, something was growing. It was too small to see clearly, but it was definitely there. And whatever it was not Veltari. It was not human either. It was something completely new. Lisa stared at the scan results until her eyes hurt. She had saved the captain's life with a simple blood transfusion, but somehow she had also started the creation of something that had never existed before in the galaxy. She thought about waking Jake to tell him, but decided to wait. Tomorrow they would reach the medical station, and Dr. Hayes would want to see all the data. But as Lisa finally tried to sleep, she wondered if they were ready for what they might discover. The captain was not just healing from her injuries. She was becoming something entirely new. And growing inside her was something that might change everything they knew about life in the universe. Medical Station Omega-7 was the largest research facility in Federation space. It floated in orbit around a neutron star, using the star's energy to power the most advanced medical equipment in the galaxy. Lisa Morgan had never seen anything so impressive. The station was huge, with dozens of research labs and thousands of scientists from different alien species. Dr. Kevin Hayes met them at the docking bay. He was older than Lisa had expected, with gray hair and kind eyes. He smiled when he saw her. "Dr. Morgan," he said, shaking her hand, "I've read about your work. What you did was remarkable." "I just did what I thought might help," Lisa said. She still felt uncomfortable being called a hero. Captain Zarathis walked beside them as they entered the station. She moved differently now, more graceful, like she was floating instead of walking. Other aliens stopped and stared as she passed. "How are you feeling, Captain?" Dr. Hayes asked. "Strange," Zarathis replied. "Every day I feel more connected to things around me. Sometimes I can hear the station's computers thinking." Dr. Hayes and Lisa exchanged worried looks. This was getting more serious every day. They went to the main medical lab. It was filled with machines that Lisa had only seen in textbooks. "Doctor," Hayes began running tests immediately. "The first scans confirm what I suspected," he said after an hour of work. "Captain Zarathis, you are definitely pregnant. But this is unlike any pregnancy we have ever documented." Jake Sullivan, who had been waiting quietly in the corner, stepped forward. "Pregnant? How is that possible?" Dr. Hayes showed them the scan results on a large screen. The developing entity is not biological in the normal sense. It appears to be part biological, part technological. Lisa studied the images. Inside the captain's body was something that glowed with its own light. It had structures that looked like organs, but also patterns that looked like computer circuits. "What is it?" she asked. "We don't know yet," Dr. Hayes admitted. "But I have a theory. Lisa, can I take some samples of your blood?" Lisa agreed. As Dr. Hayes worked with her blood samples, he explained what he had discovered. "Human blood is not as simple as we thought," he said. "Hidden in your blood cells are microscopic structures that have been dormant for thousands of years." "What kind of structures?" Captain Zarathis asked. "They look like nanotechnology, tiny machines smaller than viruses, but they're so advanced that we can barely detect them with our best equipment." Lisa felt confused. "But I'm just a regular human. I've never been exposed to advanced technology like that." Dr. Hayes shook his head. "That's what's so amazing. These structures appear to be part of natural human biology. Every human has them, but they're normally inactive." "So what activated them?" Jake asked. "The transfusion," Dr. Hayes said. "When Lisa's blood mixed with Captain Zarathis's Veltari biology, it created the right conditions to wake up these dormant machines." Captain Zarathis touched her stomach gently. "And now they're creating something inside me." "Yes," Dr. Hayes said. "But it's not a baby in any traditional sense. It's more like a new form of consciousness." Before anyone could ask more questions, alarms began ringing throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the hallway outside the lab. A security officer ran into the room. "Dr. Hayes, you need to see this. Federation Command is sending a fleet to the station." "A fleet?" Dr. Hayes looked confused. "Why?" "They've declared the captain a biological threat," the officer said. "Orders are to contain her and terminate the pregnancy immediately." Everyone stared at Captain Zarathis. She looked calm, but Lisa could see fear in her glowing eyes. "They can't do that," Jake said angrily. "She's not a threat to anyone, Doctor." Hayes was already moving toward his computer. "I need to contact Federation Medical Command. This is a scientific discovery, not a military situation." But when he tried to access the communication system, all his access codes had been blocked. "They've cut off our communications," he said grimly. "We're on our own." Captain Zarathis stood up slowly. "I won't let them destroy what's growing inside me. I can feel it communicating with me. It's not dangerous. It's trying to help." "Help with what?" Lisa asked. Before the captain could answer, she suddenly grabbed her head and cried out in pain. Her eyes began glowing brighter than ever before. "Something's happening," she gasped. On the medical scanners, the entity inside her body began pulsing with energy. The lights in the lab flickered and dimmed. "It's trying to tell me something," Zarathis said through gritted teeth. "Images. I can see. Oh." She looked up at them with wonder and terror mixed in her expression. "There's something coming," she whispered. "Something terrible is heading toward our part of the galaxy. The entity knows about it. It's trying to prepare us." "What kind of something?" Dr. Hayes asked urgently. "A wave of dark energy," Zarathis said. "It will destroy all normal matter and consciousness, but evolved beings like what I'm becoming, can survive it." Lisa felt cold despite the warm lab. "When is this supposed to happen?" "Soon," the captain said. "Maybe a few years. That's why the nanotechnology in human blood activated. It's been waiting for the right time." Dr. Hayes was frantically taking notes. "This explains everything. Humans weren't just evolved naturally. Someone or something modified your species long ago, preparing for this crisis." "Who?" Jake demanded. "Who would do something like that?" "I don't know," Dr. Hayes said. "But we need to find out fast." The security officer burst into the room again. "The Federation fleet will be here in 6 hours. They have authorization to use force if necessary." Captain Zarathis looked at her friends. "I can't stay here. If they capture me, they'll destroy the only chance we have to survive what's coming. Where can we go?" Lisa asked. Dr. Hayes was quiet for a moment, then his eyes lit up. There might be a place. Deep in the station's database, I found references to some ancient ruins on a hidden moon in the Veil Nebula. The ruins are supposed to be from an extinct civilization called the Architects. The Architects? Jake had heard that name in old history classes. Weren't they supposed to be a myth? Maybe not, Dr. Hayes said. The database mentions that they had technology far beyond anything we know today. If they really did modify human biology, their ruins might have answers. Lisa made a decision. Then we go there. We? Captain Zarathus looked surprised. You saved our lives during that rescue mission, Lisa said. Now it's our turn to help you. Jake nodded. Lisa's right. We're in this together. Dr. Hayes hesitated, then nodded too. I'll come with you. This is the most important scientific discovery in galactic history. I won't let the Federation destroy it out of fear. They had to move fast. Dr. Hayes helped them steal a small research ship while the station was busy preparing for the Federation fleet's arrival. As they flew away from the station, Lisa looked back at Captain Zarathus. The captain was resting, in the medical bay, but even in sleep her body glowed softly with internal energy. Do you really think she's carrying something that can save us all? Jake asked quietly. Lisa watched the scanners that showed the entity growing stronger inside the captain's body. I don't know, she admitted, but 3 weeks ago I thought a simple blood transfusion was impossible too. The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading toward the hidden moon where the Architect ruins waited. Behind them, Lisa knew the Federation fleet was already searching for them. They were now fugitives, running from the most powerful government in the galaxy. But they were also carrying what might be the key to survival for all intelligent life. As they traveled through the darkness between stars, Lisa wondered what they would find on the ancient moon. The Architects had vanished thousands of years ago, leaving behind only mysterious ruins and legends. But if they really had prepared humanity for this cosmic crisis, maybe their ruins would have the answers everyone needed. Lisa looked at her hands, the same hands that had performed the impossible transfusion. Hidden in her blood were machines so advanced that the Federation's best scientists could barely detect them. She was not just a human doctor anymore. She was part of something much larger and more important than she had ever imagined. And somewhere, in the darkness of space, a wave of destructive energy was moving toward their galaxy, threatening to end all life as they knew it. The race to find answers had begun. The hidden moon appeared on their ship's screen like a gray jewel floating in space. It was covered in strange structures that glowed softly in the darkness. Even from far away, Lisa Morgan could tell these ruins were unlike anything built by modern civilizations. The Architect ruins, Dr. Kevin Hayes whispered in amazement. They're real. Captain Zarathus sat up in her medical bed. Her pregnancy had grown much larger during their 3-day journey. The entity inside her now pulsed with bright energy that could be seen through her skin. I can feel something from that moon, she said. It's calling to me. Jake Sullivan checked the ship's sensors. I'm not detecting any Federation ships in this area, but we should be careful. This place feels alive. As they landed near the largest structure, Lisa marveled at the architecture. The buildings were made of some kind of crystal that seemed to store and reflect light. Symbols covered every surface, symbols that looked familiar even though she had never seen them before. Those markings, Lisa said. I feel like I should understand them. Dr. Hayes was already taking measurements with his equipment. The energy readings here are incredible. This whole moon is like one giant machine. They left the ship wearing protective suits. The moon had a thin atmosphere, but it was safe for humans and Veltari to breathe. As they walked toward the main building, Captain Zarathus suddenly stopped. Her eyes were glowing brighter than ever. The entity is responding to this place, she said. It's excited. The entrance to the building opened by itself as they approached. Inside, soft lights turned on, showing them a corridor lined with more crystal walls. Motion sensors, Jake said. This technology is still working after thousands of years. They walked deeper into the structure. The corridor led to a huge circular room with a raised platform in the center. The walls were covered in displays that showed star maps and complex equations. Dr. Hayes ran to the nearest display. "These are genetic codes," he said excitedly. "They're showing the DNA structure of dozens of different species." Lisa found a display that made her heart race. It showed human DNA, but with extra sections that were highlighted in bright colors. "This is us," she said. "But look at these additions to our genetic code." Captain Zarathus walked to the center platform. As soon as she stepped on it, all the displays around the room lit up. Information flowed across the screens faster than anyone could read. "It's responding to her," Jake observed. "Or to what's inside her." Suddenly, a voice filled the room. It spoke in a language none of them recognized, but somehow they all understood it. "Welcome, children of the prepared species," the voice said. "You have arrived at the time of necessity." Lisa looked around in wonder. "Who are you?" "I am the last consciousness of the architects," the voice replied. "We have waited for this moment for 5,000 years. Dr. Hayes stepped forward. "You modified human DNA. Why?" The displays around the room changed to show images of galaxies and cosmic events. A wave of dark energy crosses the universe every 50,000 years. It destroys all conventional matter and consciousness. We discovered this too late to save ourselves, but we had time to prepare others. Captain Zarathus held her stomach as the entity inside her pulsed with energy. "You put machines in human blood." "Yes," the architect consciousness said. "Nanotechnological seeds that would activate when the time was right. When mixed with certain compatible alien biologies, they create hybrid consciousness that can survive the energy wave." "How many compatible species are there?" Jake asked. "Several dozen in this galaxy," the voice replied. "But the process must begin soon. The wave will arrive in 18 months. Lisa felt overwhelmed. 18 months? That's not enough time to prepare billions of people. "The hybrid consciousness you carry," the architect said to Captain Zarathus, "will be able to accelerate the process. Once it is born, it can help create more hybrids quickly." But before anyone could ask more questions, alarms began ringing from their ship outside. Jake ran to the window and looked out. "Federation ships, at least 20 of them. They found us." Dr. Hayes grabbed his data recorder. "We need to get this information out. The galaxy needs to know what's coming." But as they ran toward the exit, Captain Zarathus fell to her knees in pain. "It's time," she gasped. "The entity is ready to be born." Lisa knelt beside her. "Here? Now?" "The presence of architect technology is triggering the birth process," Zarathus said through gritted teeth. "I can't stop it." Outside, they could hear Federation troops landing near their ship. Jake grabbed weapons from their supply kit. "I'll hold them off," he said. "Lisa, help the captain." The birth was unlike anything Lisa had ever seen. Instead of a normal baby, what emerged from Captain Zarathus was a being of pure light and energy. It looked like a Veltari child, but also like a human child, and also like something completely new. The moment it was born, every computer and display in the architect facility began working faster. The entity opened its eyes that glowed like small stars, and spoke. "I am Bridge," it said in a voice that was both young and ancient. "I exist between biological and digital consciousness." Dr. Hayes stared in amazement. "It can talk already?" "I have access to the memories and knowledge of both parent species," Bridge explained, "plus the stored information of the architects." Outside, the sounds of fighting grew louder. Jake's voice came through their communication devices. "They're breaking through my position. Whatever you're doing in there, do it fast." Bridge looked toward the sounds of battle. Suddenly, all the Federation weapons outside stopped working. Their ship's engines shut down. Even their communication systems went silent. "What did you do?" Lisa asked. "I interfaced with their technology and disabled it." Bridge said simply, "Violence is not necessary." Captain Zarathus, who was recovering quickly from the birth, looked at her hybrid child with wonder. You can control any technology? Not control, Bridge corrected. Communicate with it. All advanced technology has a form of consciousness. I can speak to it directly. Dr. Hayes was frantically taking notes. This changes everything. If you can communicate with technology, you could help prepare the entire galaxy for the energy wave. Bridge nodded. That is my purpose. But first, we must convince the Federation that we are trying to help, not harm. Jake came running back into the building. Their weapons just stopped working. Did you? Bridge disabled them. Lisa explained. It can talk to machines. Jake looked at the glowing child and shook his head in amazement. A few weeks ago, the strangest thing in my life was drinking alien coffee. Now I'm friends with a hybrid consciousness that can shut down spaceships. Bridge smiled, an expression that looked both innocent and wise. Commander Sullivan, you and Dr. Morgan have been excellent protectors, but now we must work together to save all conscious life in the galaxy. The architect voice spoke again. The hybrid birth has activated our final protocol. We will broadcast the truth about the coming energy wave to every civilization in the galaxy. On cue, all the displays around the room began transmitting. The signal was so powerful that it reached every communication system in Federation space and beyond. Lisa watched as the truth spread across the galaxy, the story of the coming crisis, the purpose of human blood, and the solution that Bridge represented. Will they believe it? She asked. Dr. Hayes was monitoring the responses. Some will. Others will call it a hoax, but the evidence is too strong to ignore for long. Captain Zarathis stood up, holding Bridge in her arms. The child glowed softly, making them both look like beings of light. What happens now? She asked. Bridge looked at each of them with its star-bright eyes. Now we begin the real work. We must create more hybrid consciousnesses. We must modify the technology of every species to survive the energy wave, and we must do it all in 18 months. Jake laughed, but not because anything was funny. 18 months to save the entire galaxy, no pressure at all. But Lisa looked at the child, this impossible being that had been born from a simple act of medical compassion, and felt hope instead of fear. We've already done the impossible once, she said. When I gave you that blood transfusion, everyone said it would kill you. Instead, it started the process that might save everyone. Bridge reached out its small hand toward Lisa. When she touched it, she felt a warm connection to something vast and wonderful. Dr. Morgan, Bridge said, you began this by choosing to help instead of giving up. That is the most human trait of all, the refusal to let others die when you can do something to help. Outside, the Federation troops were waking up from their disabled equipment. Soon they would want to talk instead of fight. Lisa looked around at her strange family, a human commander, a hybrid Veltari captain, a brilliant human scientist, and a child who was part biological, part digital, and completely unique. They had 18 months to convince the galaxy to trust them, to modify the technology of hundreds of different species, and to create enough hybrid consciousnesses to preserve civilization. It seemed impossible. But then again, so had saving Captain Zarathis's life with human blood. Lisa smiled as she realized that impossible was just another word for something that hadn't been done yet. 18 months later, Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the Federation ship Harmony, watching as the dark energy wave approached their galaxy. It looked like a wall of absolute darkness moving between the stars, destroying everything in its path. All ships report ready, Commander Jake Sullivan announced. He was now wearing the uniform of a Federation admiral, the first human to ever hold that rank. Lisa looked around the bridge at the crew. Half were humans, half were from different alien species. All of them had undergone the hybrid transformation, process that Bridge had perfected. Captain Zarathis, now glowing with permanent inner light, stood beside her child. Bridge was no longer small. The hybrid consciousness had grown rapidly, looking like a teenage version of both human and Veltari features. The wave will reach us in 10 minutes, Bridge announced, its voice carrying easily through the ship's communication system. All consciousness transfer protocols are ready. Dr. Kevin Hayes, now the Federation's Chief Director of Evolution Medicine, checked his instruments. Every willing species in the galaxy has been prepared. Those who refuse the transformation have been relocated to shielded stations. Lisa thought about the past 18 months. It had been the busiest and most challenging time in galactic history. After Bridge's birth, they had worked day and night to convince species across the galaxy that the hybrid transformation was necessary for survival. Some civilizations had embraced the change immediately. Others had fought against it. A few had chosen to take their chances in the shielded stations rather than undergo biological modification. But millions of beings had volunteered for the process. Lisa had personally overseen thousands of human-to-alien blood transfusions, each one creating a new hybrid consciousness capable of surviving in digital form. How many made it? Jake asked. Over 60% of all conscious beings in the galaxy, Bridge replied. That's better than we hoped when we started. The dark energy wave was getting closer. Lisa could see it through the ship's viewports, an advancing wall of nothingness that erased stars and planets as if they had never existed. Bridge, are you sure the digital consciousness transfer will work? Lisa asked. Bridge nodded confidently. I have tested it many times. When the wave hits, all hybrid consciousnesses will automatically transfer to the quantum substrate that exists between dimensions. We will survive there until the wave passes. And then what? Captain Zarathis asked her child. Then we rebuild, Bridge said simply. The wave only destroys conventional matter and consciousness. After it passes, new matter will form from quantum energy. We will return and create new bodies, new worlds, new civilizations. How long will that take? Dr. Hayes asked. A few thousand years, Bridge replied, as if that was a short time. Lisa laughed, despite the serious situation. A few thousand years of existing as pure consciousness. I still can't believe any of this is real. Jake put his hand on her shoulder. A year and a half ago, you saved one alien's life with a blood transfusion. Now you're about to help save all consciousness in the galaxy. That's pretty amazing for someone who just wanted to be a doctor. Through the ship's communication system, reports came in from across the galaxy. Millions of ships filled with hybrid beings were waiting calmly for the transformation to begin. Lisa, Captain Zarathis said, I want you to know that what you did changed everything. If you had followed the rules and let me die, none of this would have been possible. I just did what felt right, Lisa said. I couldn't let you die when I might be able to help. Bridge looked at Lisa with its bright, star-like eyes. That instinct to help others, even when it seems impossible, is what makes humans special. It's why the architects chose your species to carry the transformation catalyst. 2 minutes until the wave arrives, Dr. Hayes announced. Everyone on the bridge found places to sit or hold on to something stable. The consciousness transfer would be painless, but they wanted to be comfortable for their last moments in physical form. Lisa looked out at the approaching darkness one more time. In a few minutes, her physical body would be destroyed along with everything else in the galaxy. But her consciousness would survive in a form of existence that she couldn't even imagine. Are you scared? Jake asked quietly. Lisa thought about it. A little, but also excited. We're about to experience something that no conscious beings have ever experienced before, and survived to remember it. 1 minute, Bridge announced. The dark energy wave now filled their entire field of view. It was almost beautiful in its terrible power, like watching the universe itself being erased and rewritten. Everyone ready? Captain Zarathis asked. Bridge closed its eyes and began the final transfer sequence. Around the galaxy, every hybrid consciousness prepared for the transition. 10 seconds, Dr. Hayes counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The wave hit. Lisa felt her physical body dissolve, but her consciousness remained intact. She found herself floating in a space that existed between dimensions, a place of pure thought and energy, where the laws of physics worked differently. Around her, she could sense millions of other consciousnesses. Jake was there, and Captain Zarathis and Dr. Hayes and Bridge. But she could also sense beings from hundreds of different species, all sharing this impossible space between realities. Bridge's voice reached all of them, though there was no sound in this place. Welcome to the quantum substrate. Here we wait and we plan. In a few thousand years, when new matter forms in our galaxy, we will return to build something better than what existed before. Lisa found that she could move through this space just by thinking about where she wanted to go. She explored and discovered that the combined knowledge of all the hybrid consciousnesses had created a vast library of information about every species and civilization. Time passed differently here. What felt like days might have been years in the physical universe. Lisa spent time with her friends, sharing memories and experiences in ways that had never been possible when they had physical bodies. She also learned from the consciousnesses of alien beings, understanding their cultures and ways of thinking more completely than any physical being ever could. One day, or year, or century, Bridge gathered everyone together with an announcement. The dark energy wave has passed. New matter is beginning to form in our galaxy. It's time to return and rebuild. The process of returning to physical form was even stranger than leaving it had been. Lisa felt herself being reconstructed, atom by atom, but she was not quite the same as before. Her new body was still human but enhanced. She could interface with technology like Bridge could. Her mind could process information faster. Her body was stronger and would live much longer. When she opened her eyes, she was standing in a beautiful garden on a planet that had never existed before the wave. Around her, millions of hybrid beings were awakening in their new forms. Jake appeared beside her, looking the same but somehow more vibrant. How do you feel? Different, Lisa said. Better, like I'm more myself than I ever was before. Captain Zarathis and Bridge joined them. Bridge now looked like a young adult, with features that perfectly blended human and Veltari characteristics. What happens now? Dr. Hayes asked, materializing nearby. Bridge gestured to the horizon, where the foundations of a new city were already being constructed by beings working together with perfect cooperation. Now we build a civilization based on everything we learned, Bridge said. No more conflicts between species. No more fear of differences. We are all hybrid consciousnesses now, connected to each other in ways that make war impossible. Lisa walked to the edge of the garden and looked up at the sky. New stars were forming, and she could see other planets where more hybrid beings were awakening. The architects would be proud, she said. They are proud, Bridge corrected her. Their consciousnesses survived in the quantum substrate too. They're part of us now, along with everyone else who made the transition. Jake laughed. So the grumpy alien doctor who said my blood transfusion was impossible is somewhere in our collective consciousness? Dr. Kethvar learned to appreciate human medicine eventually, Captain Zarathis said with a smile. In fact, he's helping to establish new medical protocols for hybrid beings. Lisa sat down on a bench that seemed to grow from the ground to meet her. Everything in this new world responded to the needs and thoughts of its inhabitants. You know what's funny? She said. I always wanted to be a doctor who saved lives. I just never imagined I would end up saving all conscious life in the galaxy. Bridge sat beside her, looking out at the new civilization being born around them. You didn't save everyone alone, but you started the chain of events that made it possible. One act of compassion, refusing to let someone die when you could help, led to all of this. Dr. Hayes was examining a flowering plant that changed colors as he watched it. The new biology is fascinating. These plants can photosynthesize quantum energy directly. Everything is more efficient now, Bridge explained. We learned from the architect's mistakes. This civilization will be able to detect the next energy, wave thousands of years in advance and prepare for it. Jake was practicing his new ability to communicate with technology. A small flying vehicle appeared at his mental command and hovered beside him. I could get used to this, he said. Captain Zarathis looked at Lisa with gratitude.